Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Thursday, June 25th, 2020. If you're watching the VODs on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you're so inclined, head on over to twitch.tv/Otaku Showboat to leave a follow to be notified when I go live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You can do all of the social stuff through the links below the video, including supporting Pyandon's Mods development at patreon.com/Pyandon and myself at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat. So, I've got, like, battle scars on my hand, both hands today. I've had them for a couple of days, actually. These happened 2 days ago. Not too long, I should say, after the initial stream. Yeah, so the kittens need medicine. I mentioned this last time. They need to have well, day one they needed to have their ears with a wash on each ear, as well as drops of medicine in each ear, and drops in the eyes, and a liquid medicine injected into their mouth, and a food uh syringed into their mouth. So yeah. So Dolly was fine. Dolly, our female gray and white tabby, she was fine. She was relaxed, very annoyed a bit by the medicine. Did squirm a bit, meowed, but got through it without any injuries. It's Ollie. All of this is Ollie. Our gray. Our gray, who actually also has black tabby marks on him. So he's dark gray with black tabby stripes, or darker gray tabby stripes, making them very difficult to see, but when you see them, you will never unsee them. It's sort of how his markings are, but he's a lot more squirmy. Definitely wanted to get away. That first day we did not have an adequate towel to wrap them up, so basically we tried to wrap them in a towel to try and keep them at least somewhat stabilized, but it was not a good enough towel. And yeah, he got away several times. We also had to do like all of the medicine at once, which was also not pleasant for them. But yesterday, since they did not need the ear wash again, that was only the once a week type thing. On a regularly scheduled basis, they would get eye drops twice per day, once like every 12 hours, once with the ear drops, and then once with the liquid medicine, and then the rest of the like food type stuff is just going in their food from here on out. So basically, it's 3 different times per day they will get medicine, and we did it 3 times yesterday, and I didn't get any new scratches. We also used a much bigger and thicker towel to hold them down, so made life a bit easier by using a much thicker and bigger towel, even though they're still kittens. I guess, especially because they're still kittens. They're also a little bit calmer. Uh, they're a little bit calmer now that they've experienced it a few times. They'll eventually, they're never gonna like it, but they'll be less squirmy about it when it happens. So anyway, today is an interesting milestone. Today is day 69 of this particular playthrough of Factorio, of the Pi Suite with Pi Alien Life. So I figured I may as well mention a few things that I had done as of this point in the Pi Off the Rails series. So the previous playthrough that went through to completion, I should at least mention or discuss how the two playthroughs are comparing in terms of scale. In particular, the Off the Rails series, as of this particular stream, I did not have Circuit 3s yet, which actually took until stream day 90 of 100 total for that playthrough to get Circuit 3s. Purple Science happened on day 86. I have, however, spent a bunch more real time on this particular playthrough than the entirety of the Off the Rails series. So, yeah, that's a thing. Also, today is going to be Vanadium Day, which didn't actually happen until day 93 on the Off the Rails series. So overall, with this Pyalien Life playthrough, so much more is added in Pyalien Life, but also it sort of forces you to scale more, and I've definitely scaled significantly more production in this playthrough than I have, period, in the Off the Rails playthrough. I have significantly more stuff this time around than last time. So, yeah, today's going to be Vanadium Day, but I do want to mention some of the things that I have done off screen between last time and this time. So what did we do last time? Well, I did mention we did do Circuit 3s, which means we also did Helium. So Helium in its full chain is set up at this point in time, so we can do anything that involves Helium, including the production of the actual Circuit 3s. Yeah, I have Circuit 3s. Isn't that beautiful? It's wonderful. It's glorious. I have Circuit 3s. They're being produced. They're being produced at least somewhat consistently. There's several bottlenecks. So off screen, what I did was I've attempted to smash as many bottlenecks as possible in this Circuit 3 production, including like all the come out stuff. Like oh god, we need so very many things and doohickeys. I did not realize I had this much of a backup of Circuit 3s. Wow. Wow. So Circuit 3s also mean that I now have the ability to go all the way up to level 5 on the Bob's modules. Now, the raw productivity modules at level 5 are 25% each, and at Mark 2, that means I can get a plus 50% productivity bonus just across the board as opposed to what it was previously. So, I did the heavy fermium uranium chain. I have not done that yet, no. I have not done that. I have not done my 70% uranium chain yet. I haven't done any processing of uranium yet, and we'll get to why I will need to do so rather quickly here. Because, yeah, things are changing, and I'll actually need some, I'll need some uranium processing products soon. We'll need some of that soon. So yeah, I've got more modules now, up to level 5 on the various modules. However, I am not going up to level 5 on the effectivity modules yet because energy consumption reduction caps at 80%. So even though I can go up another level to get like a minus 50% energy consumption, there's no point. There's only point in having multiples of that 80% or divisible by that you can evenly go into that 80%. So 40 means that 2 modules in the building or 4 modules in beacons will give the full minus 80% for the various usages. Now, there is something else to be said about the effectivity modules in that beacons use a lot of power by themselves. So each beacon, if I can actually bring up the power here, you may notice something about the power here. I apparently have 757 beacons right now. They're each 480 kilowatts. So the only way in which using effectivity modules is useful in beacons is, generally speaking, how I've been using them lately, in that I'm using them to reduce solid fuel consumption of buildings, as well as reduce the liquid fuel consumption of the glassworks buildings. So it's just I'm using the efficiency, effectivity, just to reduce that consumption rather than reduce raw power, because yeah, I don't really see the point. Like, if you have to use 2 beacons to reduce a few buildings to minus 80%, is like, is that worth 2 times 480 kilowatts? Almost never. And the only buildings where it would even really matter, aka the particle accelerators, you can't use effectivity modules on. You cannot improve their efficiency at all. It is a not allowed module effect on particle accelerators. So you are always going to consume that 100 some odd megawatts per particle accelerator. 124 megawatts of usage per individual particle accelerator. There's no getting around that. Now, you may notice I do have 5.8 here, is what it says is my cap. Yeah, that's not actually my cap. I have added a singular entire gigawatt to my factory, because as it turns out, about 2.6-ish was the max, was the actual max that I was able to output in that current state. So yeah, I have this setup, and I am very much abusing the whole internal fluid box size of 500 on my small oil derricks to do this. So, level 2 powerhouses with raw speed modules, just across the board, it is 5 per 600 natural gas into combustion mixture. 5 per 600, so there's 1,800 units of combustion mixture in here. That makes about a gigawatt of power. It is effectively this. It is this, but Mark II with modules. It is this but Mark II with modules, and instead of consuming coke, it's consuming biomass. Biomass made out of crude oil. So, and of course, internally powered by too many solar panels. This is actually more than what I need for this particular purpose. Way more than I need for this particular purpose to power these buildings here. And I'm not powering these, but it's four derricks, one each for the natural gas output, and one for the crude oil into biomass. So, hey, it's another gigawatt of power, and I can just place this wherever. It's relatively compact, and it will get better once I have Mark III combustion turbines. That's the other thing to note, is like, once I can get the Mark III turbines at special small parts, that will improve this further. So that's the power talked about. I also, even though I know that this is going to change relatively soon, I cannot do the Mark III turbines until I have special small parts planted on. Combustion turbine. Yes, I have circuit 3s. I gave it some thought, but you need special small parts for these first, and that's going to need super steel and the aerogel chain. That's going to need super steel and the aerogel chain, and we'll get to comments about super steel and all of that good stuff. So over here, just casually, 5 red belts of quartz ore processing. 5 red belts of quartz ore being processed into, 150 per second of glass. ish. What even is it? On the actual output, I'm pretty sure it is a 1-to-1 of quartz into glass through the purified quartz processing chain. So that's what I'm doing there. Better glass production. Now, yes, I know that glass is going to be changing relatively soon into involving a molten glass process, but I needed glass. I mean, frankly, I needed glass. I needed a lot of glass. Why did I need a lot of glass? Because this now exists right down here. Say hello to my incubated petri dish factory. This incubated petri dish factory, which I don't actually have all of the proper modules for at this point in time, I'm still producing all of the level 5 modules for it. This particular factory will produce a red belt of incubated petri dishes if I had proper modules. Oh, why did you not have... No. I guarantee that I had done this with these. Get rid of those and put those in. Or maybe I was just banking on having even more than that. Why did that not even change the numbers? I don't... Huh. Interesting. This would actually give 15, because this is only 100 right here. So, yeah. Oh, it's here. Right, it's here. So this uses the proper modules. This is the build. It's only 15 in the end if I had all of the proper modules, and it's a few. It's 200 of the level 5 just for the final step, and then more for the steps prior. Why do I need so many incubated petri dishes as incubated petri dishes? Well, as it turns out, I need this stuff called primers. I need a significant amount of this stuff known as primers. And primers only have one recipe. Primers only have one recipe. I'm not actually producing a sufficient number of the primers right now. I need even more than what these two buildings can provide. But yeah, so it's 10 incubated petri dishes for a 70% chance to get one primer. 10 incubated petri dishes for a 70% chance to get one. I need about 2.5 ultimately to make the amount of tendons that I need to produce the even a close to a remote amount of serine that I need. Like, I need so much serine as well. Like, holy crap, the amount of serine on the alien bacteria, 6 per second to produce 30 alien bacteria. Like, what? It's 15 per 50. So really, it's just going down the line. Like, why do I need those primers? I need them for the pluripotent stem cells to bioprint tendons for serine for alien bacteria. And as it turns out, I need a lot of it, and yeah, that's it's a lot of incubated petri dishes right there. That's needed for stuff. It's a lot of incubated petri dishes. A ton of them. So I scaled that up a bit. All right. Something else to mention. I placed down a cytostatics production building, gene lab down here. That is a new item, but I placed it down so that I'm able to produce fat eye or something. I forget. What was it again I needed the cytostatics for? It's needed for some creatures. It's needed, yeah, fat eye, right there. You need him for these guys. I'm not using him for anything else. It's just I will eventually set up some initial production of these guys. Which it looks like I have not done yet. I have, however, set up Archods. So Archods are going now. And Vonyx are somewhat happening. I have some Vonyx going. yeah, stuffs. The comouts exist, but there's some issues with comouts inherently. I can't actually do anything with comouts until I get super steel, so that's the first problem. This is why I have to do bioprinting, by the way, to get the tendons for the serine, because I can't actually do the comouts yet. Now, if I did have the ability to use the comouts at this point in the game, in order to make the sufficient amount of tendons that I need for the serine, a more sufficient amount of tendons for the serine, it would be pretty big. It would be pretty big. It would be 37 skin per second to produce 10 tendons from the Kamout rations. And this is looking at just the rations bedding water barrel recipe. There are additional recipes that I have access to. The problem is that they end up consuming like 50 units of Renea per second. 50 units of Renea per second for those additional recipes for this similar 10 out. It is just insane the amount of stuff just to do comouts. Like it's awful. Comouts are not good in the slightest in the current state of balance. Just it's way too much skin for the rations, and it's way too much Renea, as well as I think even Tufra is added in these. If I go into the pup recipes again, that's not even gonna show me the proper one. I need to click this button. So 15 Renea per single pup. Per single pup. Now, if these actually output more pups, then maybe. Like, if this one was a 4 pup out, maybe that would be worthwhile, valuable to me. But in the current state, yeah, 50 Renea and 33.34 Tufra. That is prohibitive. Prohibitively expensive. It's also 102 Kamout enclosures. Like, what does this even do for you? It reduces the amount of enclosures that you need by 20. By exactly 20. That's it. That's the only difference, because the only thing that changes between these two recipes is the speed of the recipe. You don't get more output between these two. So it will never be viable to use this Renea Tufra or anything other than the Kamout rations. In fact, the Kamout ration bedding recipe is better than the previous recipe, in that it does not have Renea in it. So there is a bedding caged Ulrich and Renea recipe that's still 15 Renea, which is a massive problem, as opposed to the ration. So it's like, okay, do I spend Ulrich and a ton of Renea with more buildings on a 70 per second recipe base, or do I upgrade to this 60 second recipe and have to spend instead a whole bunch of skin? Ooh boy, I might actually be tempted to go back down to Ulrich and have all of that 50 Renea per second. What makes Renea so hard to obtain? Well, it's the amount of Renea that is the problem. So here is 30 net out of Renea, because I have thought about these things, and I have added this into Hellmod ahead of time. So Renea, to get 30 Renea on the best recipe I have available to me, would be 15.85 manure, which, more stuff. It requires lignin, 6 lignin, which it's made a bit easier by the fact that I do have Bob's modules, but it's like, if I didn't have Bob's modules, holy crap, this would be so huge. It's the size of the setup, really, when the only benefit is 20 come out enclosures. Like, what is the point of adding Renea and adding Tufra, adding 50 Renea and 30 Tufra if all you're saving is 20 buildings when you are adding 173 plus, more than 173 buildings for the Renea build alone to that setup? It's like you are spending more resources for no appreciable benefit at that point. So, yeah, that's the state with the come-outs. What else do I need to mention? I now have a skin factory. I now have a skin factory out of Muckmo. So the most amount of skin that you can get comes from the Zipier. However, again, simplicity versus complexity. Instead of using Zipier, I am using the Muckmo, and I am doing 15 out on this skin build, if I can remember exactly where I put it. I put it here. So this skin build, Muckmo and even Oggs are significantly easier now that I have the fetal serum, the bedding, the salt, the moss, the seaweed, moss and the seaweed on my network. So these things are now on my train network. And even with the Oggs, it's like I have the Faugi, I have the plastic all on the network, I have the seaweed, I have the moss. The only thing I don't have is biomass at this point. So if I look at my Ogg meat build, it's like, okay, I don't need any of this infrastructure up here, none of this infrastructure up here at this point, none of the limestone, none, like this would be crude oil rather than creamy latex. This moss would go away, this seaweed would go away, this Faugi would go away. It would basically just be the food into the Oggs at this point. But yeah, for the Muckmo, similar situation. It's just bring in by train the inputs, have the bit of sap that I need for this, and it will produce all 15 per second of the skin. Glorious, beautiful 15 per second of skin. That I'm using in my mall to make collagen. So I do have some collagen being made in the mall, and I swapped the nanofibrils recipe that I was using last time, the one that uses chitin, swapped it over to the collagen recipe that has triple the output. And instead of 1, you get 3. Because, yeah, since I do now have the collagen here in the mall, it makes sense to actually use some of it. For this stuff, yeah, using chitosan and collagen to make nanofibrils, making plenty of nanofibrils. And since I have plenty of nanofibrils, more than what I need for my Circuit 3s, I am now using those nanofibrils in a better filtration media recipe. So the better filtration media recipe uses basically 1 nanofibril per 50 filtration media, and it does dramatically reduce the amount of overall stuff gets consumed per unit of filtration media. It's quite nice. Quite nice, this particular recipe. So that's what I am doing there. Latex is something to mention because I was also quite limited by Glassware, and it was ultimately being limited by latex. What I have done with latex over here on the bus is I have gone through and upgraded everything in this chain to Mark II buildings and added a bunch of productivity modules where I could add productivity modules. Just the level 2s, not the level 5s, but still, it's now giving me far more sufficient quantities of latex. It's like 5-ish per second of latex that I end up with, and it's able to feed everything that I need it to feed. Specifically, the glassware in here. Alright, so that is latex. I also have added other things to the mall. Basic substrate is here now. You see I've also got like the parts. The lab instruments, yes, those are the words that I'm looking for. Talked about the skin. More Vrauk cocoons. The thing that I did last night. Where is that? That is here. So, I also ran into an issue of not having enough Vrauk cocoons, which, this little build up here that I did a long time ago produces a whopping one cocoon per second of Vrauk cocoons. That is entirely insufficient for my current needs, especially now that I do need some chitin more than I currently produce of the chitin. I need more of it if everything was actually running smoothly and not backing up and all that good stuff. So down here I have built a better Vrauk cocoon factory, if I can remember which tab I put that in. This is the tab. So, this is the better Vrauk cocoon factory. This factory is producing 30 per second of the Vrauk cocoons, and it is using the quality Vrauk food recipe. I do not have the bedding if this was operating at max. If everything in my base was operating at max, I would not have the bedding to feed all of it, but regardless, for now, it's able to produce enough for my needs out of what I have. But it is bedding, it is sap, the quality food, falgi, and moss. The quality food uses casein as well as guts. Pretty decent amount of stuff, bearing in mind also plus 50% total productivity out of this. So, yep, uses all things that I have mostly on my network except for the fiberboard here. So, like, all this stuff I either have as the pre-seed form or can make from stuff that I have on my network. Now, I just need to bring in fish, brought in wood, brought in tufra, brought in the stuff for the fiberboard, which is the raw fiber, wood for the treated wood, the sodium hydroxide, and I am bringing in the sulfuric acid to make the sodium sulfate, because we're already bringing in the sodium hydroxide anyway. We may as well make this stuff locally in the amounts that we need. So yeah, just stuff. I built the thing. I built it. It's here. It's all this sort of stuff, similar type of style of build that I've been doing this entire time. These are Mark II Vrauk paddocks with Mark II Vrauk modules. It has all of the cocoons that I could ever need and desire. And of course, once I need a caged Vrauk for something, I can just grow the Vrauk by adding water to the cocoons, and then I can slaughter the Vrauk to whatever I need, specifically chitin or formic acid. Alright, so that will basically cover most of the major stuff that I did. The only other thing that I did off-screen between last time and this time was I went to my Niobium production. If I can remember where my Niobium production is, it is here. The Niobium production was insufficient. Again, another one of those little niggling issues. Niobium needed plates and needed complex. So what I ended up doing was coming over here and putting in the productivity modules across the board, across everything, and just scaling up as well, and increasing the stuff to Mark II that can be brought up to Mark II. And I brought in additional HCl from my train network because I need more of the HCl in particular. The other two things are being produced here on the network anyway, being brought in, so I may as well bring the last thing in outside of, the actual refined syngas to mine this stuff in the first place. And I did add efficiency into the miners so that they consume fewer overall resources in the mining of niobium. Not like it really mattered in the first place, and I could just bring in these by train anyway, these drill heads. So, yeah. Yeah, Mark IIs were able to produce stuff. It looks like I needed to put a better output. Looks like I'm actually bottlenecked by this inserter. Yeah. I'll fix it at some point. But yeah, it can produce a lot of plates, like a lot of plates. By the way, yes, there is a hot air version of the niobium plate production. However, the entire niobium chain and the entire molybdenum chain, outside of the specific buildings that don't allow productivity, can use productivity, including the actual plates themselves at the end. The issue that has occurred now is there is the option to do hot air plate production for the niobium and molybdenum, but in the case of the niobium, and I think also in the case of the molybdenum, the actual increase in output gets outclassed by using productivity modules on the previous recipe rather quickly. So this 50% productivity at Mark II here that I have going is actually producing an additional plate versus the hot air processing recipe. So that's why I'm not doing the hot air processing here at all. The hot air recipe does not accept productivity. That is the key here. The hot air recipes do not accept productivity. Might have been an oversight. Might have been an oversight, but yeah, the hot air versions of the niobium and the molybdenum casting with hot air do not take productivity. I would absolutely be doing those hot air recipes if they took productivity, but they don't, which is very, very sad indeed. Now, also, this is scaled in such a way that not all of my complex is being converted into the dust here and processed into plates. These two need these four to process all of their output into plates, but I am producing more complex because I need complex for other things. I need niobium complex for several other things. So that was a big bonus. A big bonus. This is actually, by the way, supposed to be able to do 4.8 ore of processing. Of course, it's supposed to be really difficult to actually mine the ore in the first place. So anyway, that is that. Why are you just not existent? Oh, that's full. Oh, wow, full. Huh? It's just the speed of you. The speed of you. Because both of these are using, yeah, the effectivity. And of course, I'm also doing effectivity up to 4, so yeah, lots of demand on those effectivities. I think it's going to be time to double this. May as well double the whole line, shouldn't I? Yeah. Let's add more. You know, when in doubt, more.